One of the most important aspects of a financial plan is making sure that you have a complete estate plan. But what does that really mean? Michael Kinnett, the savvy investor, joining us now to tell us much more about this important topic when it comes to financial planning. It's not just about investing. You've got to do some other things.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny to think people look at a financial plan as just, how do I invest my money? How does it get me through retirement? And we know it's so much more than that. It involves taxes, but one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle, at least from our perspective, is making sure that that estate plan is in place. You know, your wills, your powers of attorney, a trust if you need one, the advanced care directive, the living wills, all of those things make up a sound estate plan, which is part of a sound financial plan.
You mentioned, power of attorney. Why is that so critical to have that in place?
Yeah, and it's a scary document. I mean, what you're doing is you're literally giving somebody authority over your financial life. Anything and everything that you can do, you're giving somebody else the authority to do. So, like, for example, in my case, we were talking about this. You know, my wife has been a stay-at-home mom all these years, and so I've been the primary breadwinner, and my 401k is much larger than hers. Well, that makes sense because I've been the primary breadwinner. But if something happened to me, and I don't die, I just become incapacitated, I get hit by that car we were talking about, or have a stroke because of all the pressure of the stock market, right? If she needs to get to my 401k to help take care of me, she can't do that without my permission, without my signature. And that power of attorney gives her authority to do that. To take care of the house, to downsize the house if we need to be on one floor instead of 2 floors. The financial power of attorney allows somebody to make those financial decisions on your behalf. And it's a necessary document. It's a necessary evil, maybe, but it's a necessary document because the alternative, guardianship, court hearings, horrible.
You've got to have trust, but you also have to have it in place.
It's a leap of faith. It really is.
What about moving on to one other kind of topic that we don't really think about? That's like a living will or an advanced directive.
Right. Well, we all remember Terry Schiavo down in Florida, the big battle over the family who'd pull the plug or don't pull the plug. She was in a coma for 7 or 8 years. And what the advanced care directive and living will gives somebody authority. Now, in Maryland, the family has the right to make the choice, but you can't fix dead. So if you don't have directions, if the family doesn't know whether to hook you up to machines or don't hook you up to machines, the hospital's not going to make the decision, and the hospital's not going to pick one side over the other. You want to tell the family, this is what I want to have happen to me. Hook me up to machines, don't hook me up to machines, food and water, medical treatment, pain medication. I'm a big believer in pain medication at the end, right? So the advanced care directive, living will, very, very important document as well.
One other key thing, avoiding probate.
Yeah.
That's critical?
I think it's critical.
Okay, all right.
I mean, in the state of Maryland, going through the probate process isn't a horrible experience. It's more of a PETA, right? A pain in the backside, right? Okay. And it's time consuming and it costs you a lot of money. So for us, we want our clients to avoid the probate process. That's, how do I get my assets from my name to somebody else? I own the house. How do I get it to you if I'm not there to sign the back? So the probate process is how we transfer those assets. Well, it's easy to avoid probate. Pretty much any account that you have that has a number on it, bank accounts, investment accounts, IRAs, 401ks, life insurance, put a beneficiary on it. You can put a beneficiary on your house. You can basically put a beneficiary on everything you own to avoid the probate process. Now, obviously, you want to make sure it's going to the people to whom you want it to go to.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if you put it in the will, it goes through courts, it takes 9 months, or you put beneficiaries on everything. What you don't want to do, joint ownership. You do not want joint ownership with anybody except for your spouse or significant other. And here's the reason. Let's say, for example, you have a child, right? And you put your kid's name on the house because you want it to go to them. Makes sense. Well, if they go into bankruptcy or let's say they get in a car accident and are sued, that also becomes their asset, and which means some attorney, some ambulance chasing attorney is going to sue and get half the house for the benefit of their client. You want to help your kids? Absolutely. But you want to have the choice, and that's why avoiding probate is important, but do not use joint assets to avoid probate.
Yeah, it's all in the methodology
right
there, and you want to say where things go, no matter how much or how little you have, not the state.
Right.
One last thought, estate taxes, we know there may be some movement on that, maybe even a repeal. Any last thought on minimizing or strategy with that?
Well, for the most part, we don't have a problem with it. Most Americans don't have a problem. Last number I saw was 0.2%.
Wow.
So certainly very few of us here in Maryland are going to have that problem. We can pass between $6 and $11 million as a married couple without estate taxes. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay, and if you do, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Michael Kinnett, thank you so much for coming in. Remember, if you have questions about estate planning, first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250K or higher, you get a free estate plan. We'll be back with more Midday Maryland right after this.